Color Me Dead podcast is true crime. And with true crime, there are going to be some themes and material and language used that might not be suitable for everybody. So, listening discretion is advised.
Yeah, we're definitely not going to take out any part of the details or anything like that because we feel it kind of takes away from the cases that we're covering. So this is why we're kind of giving everybody a little bit of a disclaimer. This is your get out of jail free card. Use it now.
Right, because we have a tendency to use a lot of dark humor, a lot of foul language, a total disregard for political correctness.
Yes.
So just be aware that, this might not be for you.
Yeah, and we'll probably crack off some terrible jokes, but it's the only way to kind of handle some cases is sometimes you have to say something funny or shocking in the opposite way to kind of like tone
offset
down.
It. Yeah. I'm just saying, I realize that our dark humor is an unhealthy coping mechanism, and I don't care. I support it.
Yes.
You clearly co-sign it because you hang out with me.
Yeah, well, I'm just as bad. We're in the same pool together.
So thank you guys for tuning in. We hope you enjoy.
Yes.
Welcome to another fun-filled adventure.
It's something.
It most certainly fucking is something.
I'm not sure if it's fun, if it's creepy.
I think it's fun.
Well, of course we think it's fun. We wouldn't be doing it.
Nope. Episode 4.
Crazy.
I know.
And we're going to be doing not a two-parter, but
kind of like a back-to-back.
A double feature?
Yeah.
Maybe?
I wanted to say double header. And then I thought, dirty things.
Dirty.
It's not my fault.
But basically, we're going to be covering 2 of, in my opinion, like the most crazy batshit women.
Yeah.
In a minute.
Murders. Mm-hmm. Not serial killers. Yeah. Just like some high-profile female murderers.
Yeah.
Murdering motherfuckers. So, this chick is actually referred to as the Cannibal Killer. And her name is Catherine Mary Knight.
Yeah.
Of Australia.
Yeah. First woman to be sentenced to life.
Life in prison without chance of parole, ever.
Well, and I agree.
Yeah. No, this chick, based on her history, like if she were in Utah, they'd have been like, fucking hang it. Right? Kill it now.
Firing squad.
Oh, bang, yeah. Bang. Done.
I don't know how she was able to get to the point that she did. Like, how she wasn't stopped.
No, because
before.
Her, like, literally, her entire life, she was just nothing but a buck-nutty, violent bitch. And not the kind of chick where you, like, lightly slam your husband around for, leaving the cap off the milk. I'm talking, she, like, brutalized people with heavy skillets.
Yeah, multiple skull fractures. Like, when they were all saying, my ex is crazy, it was a legit statement.
Yeah, I think she really does have some kind of psychological something. Oh. But she didn't have, like, a horrifying childhood, but she didn't have an amazing childhood.
Yeah, she had one of those childhoods where you're like...
questionable. Because she was actually the product of an affair. So she had 4 brothers that were born before her. Mm-hmm. And her mom, Barbara, actually had an affair with somebody that I believe it was a coworker of hers.
Yes.
And so she was a product of an affair. Mm-hmm. Her mom takes her, leaves her other kids. So 2 of her sons stayed with her first husband, and 2 of the sons went to go live with, like, their aunt and uncle. Mm-hmm. So she takes Catherine, and then she proceeds to have 4 more kids with the guy that she cheated on her first husband with.
Mm-hmm. But the fun fact is Catherine was also a twin.
She was.
She was the younger twin. And I tried to find more information about her twin, see what she had to say about anything. Could not find it. Which...
she probably changed her name and, like, fell off the face of the earth because she didn't want to be associated with her sister or fucked up family because their dad, Ken Knight, was an alcoholic, sexually and physically and mentally and emotionally abused their mom, like sometimes raping her up to 10 times a day. And you have to assume that your kids are going to see that shit. They're going to hear it. They're going to know.
Well, and mom, Miss Barb, had no problems spouting out.
No fucking filter. I'm just going to talk about all the horrifying...
Yeah, she's just, like, telling her kids all the time and how basically you just take it, which is just okay.
Yeah. No, you don't.
No.
Well, at one point when Catherine was a teenager... I think she was having issues with this dude she was dating because he wanted her to do something sexually that she wasn't comfortable with. Mm-hmm. And her mom was essentially like, quit complaining and just put up with it or shut up.
Yeah, because that's good to teach your daughters, especially. Right. Like, right. Don't be such a crybaby. Just
yeah, if he wants to stick cactus in your asshole,
you just say yes,
just
please.
Let him do it. Quit, just fuck.
Did I say one? You better make it two. What a piece of shit mom.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not like she had a good support system. It's not like she learned how to be anything but nuts.
Right. Well, her mom was always talking about being raped and how much she hated men.
Oh, yeah. And like all the crazy stuff that she had to do for her husband, which that's so fucking unhealthy for your kids, dude. You can't.
I'm a grown adult and I still don't want to hear or think about parents
banging, smashing papas, banging bellies.
That one Cards Against Humanity card where it's like the primal ball slapping your parents are having right now.
Dude, I've accidentally heard my parents.
I think everybody has. I think it's like a rite of passage.
Oh yeah,
and it's so disturbing. And I don't like it.
Anyways, back at the ranch.
Yes. She also, Knight would say later that she had been raped by a family member, but that it wasn't her dad. It was somebody else.
Right. Well, and so her family apparently substantiated the claims that she was abused, like up until she was 11. Mm-hmm. So I don't know who, and I don't know what. That
part has been always kind of hard to find.
Yeah, there's not a lot.
And there was only so much search history thing that I wanted to have up there about.
I'm just telling you, if anything ever happens to my husband, I'm going straight to fucking jail.
I am too. They're going to be like, there's no way you're innocent.
No, they're going to get on my browser history. Yep. Yeah. And it's going to be like weird shit that I've Googled and porn. I just know it.
Right?
God.
The occasional cat video.
And the occasional cat video. Right? So apparently the only person that Catherine was really tight with, besides her twin, was an uncle that committed suicide in 1969-ish.
Something like that.
So I wonder if maybe the uncle...
Was Uncle Touchy?
Yeah, was creepy Uncle Touchy with the puzzle closet mouth hugs.
I always feel bad for uncles, like the good ones.
Oh, I know, right?
Because then you always get the joke of Uncle Touchy.
Yeah.
But there are good ones out there, but, it only takes that one uncle to literally fuck things up. So.
Well, and she still, Catherine actually talks about her uncle's ghost still comes and visits her in prison.
Because that's not crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
So, she actually, growing up, she was known as a bully. Like, she was known for attacking younger kids, and even teachers. Like, one teacher had to, physically restrain her, in an attempt to, what do they call that?
Self-defense?
Yeah, self-defense.
Yeah. Which, how...
Was that high school or, junior high for her?
I would assume that it was probably more junior high, because later she drops out of school when she was 15.
Yeah,
and so 15 is still, freshman.
I don't know anything about...
Australia?
Australian schools, prep schools, or anything like that. Maybe at the age of 15... They're like, here, fuck it, you're done, go get a job. Except for she couldn't even, really read or write. Yeah. She was essentially fucking illiterate.
So she just went to school to be a total douchebag and didn't bother learning anything.
Well, and apparently they were like, fucking pass it through, because we're not, no child left behind. Take it.
Get it fuck out.
Because at 15, dude.
Yeah.
If you can't even really, scribble your own name or read the label.
There's obviously some sort of neglect or just zero fucks given.
Right.
But when she dropped out, she went and got a job at the fabric cutter. Or being a fabric cutter.
Oh, right. In a clothing factory or something like that. But she shortly thereafter, a year later, she got what she would describe as her dream job. And it was in a fucking slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
And she went from chief gut scrubber to she learned how to cut meat. Professionally, got her own set of butcher knives.
Which she loved those butcher
that she
knives.
super loved. And she would actually take them and she hung them above her bed as a little trophy for being master meat slicing son of a bitch.
And she would say they would always be handy if I needed them. And she did that until she was...
Oh, yeah.
Incarcerated. But, alright, so, why would you be like, it's totally cool, even for your own safety?
Why would you hang a big-ass, sharp, pointy something
butcher knife above your fucking head on the good faith that it's not gonna fall?
Right. I struggle with my paintings that are hung above my bed because if something happens and those fall, it's going to land right on my head and I'm really pretty and it's going to break my face.
Yes.
I've actually thought about rearranging my bedroom to get away from it.
Yeah, well, this bitch apparently just lives life on the edge.
Dude.
And also, how could you be one of the many men that she associates with and being like, oh, it's totally fine you hang fucking butcher knives above your bed?
You know, and
no.
I mentioned this to you. I have no idea how she actually got so many men to be involved with her at all, or come back to her after she, assaults them, because she ends up getting married in, 73. At her request, the guy didn't propose.
He didn't have a choice.
No. She, totally dominated this dude.
Which, I mean, she was a redhead, so maybe she got the crazy and the nympho out of it.
And she's a butcher, and has, you know what I mean? So
there's that element of danger where they're kind of like, I'm confused but aroused. I want to be in this, but I don't. But I'm interested, but I'm all set. It's
the basic instinct. You know what I mean? So she was on trial for murder, but I want to see her
titties.
I want to see her biscuit.
Let me see your biscuit.
Let me see your fur burger. I needs to take a gander.
Oh, man. It must have been Velvet Line. That's all I have to say.
It had to have been, because she gets married to this dude, David. And he was a coworker of hers. And he was one of those rough and tumble, always in the bar, hard drinker, partied harder, you know what I mean, kind of a guy. And if she bullied this fucking guy, why would anybody have anything to do with this? She already scares me.
Yeah, because she stayed pretty much in her same, little town.
Yeah. So Aberdeen.
Yeah.
Right?
So pretty much everybody would have to know about her.
Well, even
the crazy butcher bitch.
So they rolled up on the wedding day on motorcycle, both of them drunk as fuck. And her mother, Barbara, pulls David Kellant, her new husband, aside and was like, you better watch her. She'll fucking kill you. If you stir her up in any wrong way, you're fucked. On his wedding day, said that about her own daughter. She straight up was like, she's got a screw loose.
Right? So that's good. When your own mother is like, if you cheat on her, she'll fucking kill you.
I don't even think it wouldn't even have to be cheating, because
you look at her wrong.
Catherine strangled her husband, attempted to strangle her husband on their wedding night, because they apparently could only successfully bang 3 times. And Catherine decided that was not enough. So she strangled her husband. He passed out. Poor dude's been drinking. I don't even know how he knocked out 3. Right? Let's be honest.
I don't even know. Okay. I enjoy activities of the sexual nature. 3 times? I'm usually like, fucking, I need a nap. Don't touch me.
I need you to go get a cucumber, put a slice down here, because there's going to be some friction burn. Good Lord. And she was upset.
Yeah, because her mom had said something about, on her wedding night.
They,
banged, a bajillion times. Yeah, but she was married to a rapist, so there's that. Fucking holy apples shit. And oranges.
Yeah. For real. So she attempts to strangle him because she's not satisfied with the amount of pum-pum that this guy decided.
Maybe those 3 times were just a 3-stroker. I doubt it.
I don't know. If he'd been drinking, he probably could have knocked the dust off some pussy.
Right.
I don't know.
He was pulling out cobwebs she didn't even know she had. And that was just not enough.
And that's just the beginning. So their wedding night, she attempts to kill him.
Which you would think that you'd be like, all right.
You know what? My mother-in-law warned me earlier. She already tried to strangle me on our wedding night. This clearly is not the most safe relationship. This is not a safe space.
Yeah. Come on, dudes.
Very toxic, very violent relationship. And there was actually one night where Catherine burned all of his shit. Took all of his clothes, his shoes, whatever, because he, stayed out too late.
Yeah, he was at, a dart competition or something.
At a pub.
Yeah.
So she burns all his shit and then cracks him over the head with a frying pan.
Yeah.
Frying pan.
Knocks him out.
Yeah. So...
Why?
I don't know. So,
Like, and I understand domestic violence, and when you're in it, sometimes it's hard to leave. But this guy was given a lot of warning beforehand.
Oh, yeah.
And he was still just like, it's cool.
It's whatever. Because he ends up at the neighbor's house to get help. And the police are called because he ends up with like a very serious
like he had multiple skull fractures.
Yeah, skull fracture. So the charges were dropped. She talked him into dropping the charges. And the cops were all about it. They were
I need her tips on how to talk myself out of shit.
Clearly, she is master manipulator. She probably, you know what? Unfortunately, people will talk about how dense she is. Obviously, at the age of 15, she can't really read or write. And everybody will say she was nothing to talk to. She had nothing worth pulling out and discussing.
Well, apparently she was good at something.
But she must have been, like, she would have been a fucking mato debato. Yeah. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Because
she obviously was able to fuck like a champ.
Oh, yeah.
And smooth talk her way out of shit. Like, I don't know how I can't even talk my way out of a speeding ticket. And this bitch is talking her husband into coming back after she cracked his fucking skull open.
Burned all of his stuff.
Yeah. It's okay, baby.
Come on back.
You're just gonna have to buy new shit. Sorry about your skull fracture. Now you have a nice haircut. Like,
for real. But I have, like, it's completely beyond me that so many people will talk about how stupid she is and how difficult it was to, like, be around her because of how, like, just how dumb she was.
Maybe that's just because they hated her. And then
Maybe.
In hindsight, like, when I cover certain cases, I'm like, fuck this person. I hate them so much. Even if they offer something decent or if they have, like, some sort of quality, I'm still like, no, I won't even give you that. Fuck you.
Right.
So maybe it's something like that.
I think you still have some fire in you about the one you were doing today.
I
think
do.
so.
Yeah.
So, like, what is it? 67. So he's been
76.
76, excuse me.
Dyslexic.
So he's been, I know.
It's all right.
Good girl. So he's been with her for a few years. And she ends up pregnant and he bounces. He's like, you know what? Had enough. There were several episodes where either he was getting beat up or getting his shit burned or getting strangled or threatened. So he was like, off I go.
Finally.
Then Catherine Knight has this baby. Okay. And I know I had to adjust myself to talk about this. So she has this kid and I think the baby's only like a few weeks old, or like a month old. And she's seen with the baby in the stroller and she's like shaking the stroller and like, yeah, just acting really erratic. And so...
luckily people stop her.
Like they see it.
Yeah. And they take her in and they're like, you need to go and talk to somebody.
Right. So she actually did go into a mental facility to get help, which I guess...
she had, like, postpartum
depression.
But...
she was only there for a few weeks.
Yeah, because she gets out when her daughter's like 2 months old.
Right. So then she takes her kid and goes and sticks her on some
on the
railroad tracks. And it's like right before a train is actually like due to come in.
Yeah, and she just walks away.
Yeah. Puts the baby on the tracks, takes off again.
Thank God for sweet, I think his name was like Old Tim or something.
Old Ted. Old Ted, who was kind of like local bum, found the baby and took her off the tracks.
And then like 2 minutes later is when the train came by. So luckily he was just like right there, right time, save this child's life.
Because Catherine Knight has now gone into town wielding a hatchet or an axe talking about killing, like threatened to kill several people. So she's arrested and she is whisked back to another facility. Okay, here's my thing. You don't get the choice of leaving. Like at that point, I think you should just be there until somebody else says
you're okay. But she leaves the next day out of St.
She literally, she checks herself out the next day.
It goes back to the 70s and people not understanding
or
mental illnesses and different things like that, because clearly she also had way more than just like postpartum depression given her history even all the way back from a child.
Right.
Like, bitch needed some help. Probably should have stayed there.
Right. Like I said, she shouldn't have had the option of checking herself out. Because a few days later, she actually attacks a woman and slashes her face up with one of her handy-dandy knives and demands that this woman drive her to Queensland to go find her husband, who has bailed. And the woman escaped after stopping at a service station, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so the police come, and Catherine Knight has then taken a hostage.
Mm-hmm.
So at this
sweet little boy,
a little kid, has taken a hostage.
Oh, goodness. Has a knife to his throat.
Right. So she, at this point, like, she's known in town for thumping on people, for bashing, choking,
Slashing.
cutting up faces, taking wee babies for...
Putting them on the train track.
Oh
now
my
she's
God.
holding a knife to another one. And how the police disarm her with fucking, like, brooms.
Okay. Some Jackie Chan shit where they just pull out a broom. Maybe it distracted her. It was like that domestic thing where she saw the broom, dropped the knife, and started sweeping.
I guess. My instincts kick in. But then after that, she gets taken to a separate psychiatric hospital.
Hospital number 3.
3 times.
In like a year.
Can't there be a 3 strikes you're out rule?
Well,
You would think.
you would think.
Because she even goes on when she's in the hospital.
Oh yeah, because she threatened to kill the nurses.
Mm-hmm.
Because something about she had been talking to the nurses, and she admitted that she intended on killing the mechanic that fixed her husband's car because that's how he got away.
Yeah. And then she was going to go find him and kill him too.
And yeah.
So she's like openly admitting to premeditated
Lots
murder.
Of murder. And then apparently one of the nurses would go on to be like, "Sweetie, you're fucking bananas."
Mm-hmm.
And so then she was like, "Well, shit, I'll notch you in there too."
And what I don't get is after this, the police find out about that. The police go and tell the ex-husband all of this. And what does he do? He leaves his girlfriend he has now to move back to help take care of her. What the fuck? I don't know. I don't know what kind of maybe mental things he may have been dealing with. Like, that's a serious codependency if you're like, oh, you mean to tell me that my wife was going to kill the mechanic that fixed my car so she can then come and kill me?
Right.
Oh, well, cool. The only reasonable answer for me is to leave my girlfriend and go back to her.
Let me wrap my brain around what you just said.
I
Because
literally can't even right now.
Could you
Imagine.
No, because he packs up his shit and goes back.
Mm-hmm.
So Knight is then released, okay? She's released into the care of her mother-in-law, and along with, what's his name? David.
Yes.
And so they're now they've moved, and they're in Brisbane,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like a little suburb.
Mm-hmm.
She got a job in another slaughterhouse, and let's just go ahead and put a bow on that.
Maybe she shouldn't be around knives anymore
Or be allowed to, like, stab things or play in their guts, or,
especially when you've spent multiple different times in different psychiatric hospitals.
and used her, like, prize knife to cut up somebody's face.
Yeah, and talking about how you planned on killing your husband and the innocent gas station worker. Or not the gas station
The
worker.
mechanic.
The mechanic.
And the little boy that I held hostage. Like, what
You would
the
think that
fuck,
there would be
guys?
something that would be like,
It's kind of like, felons can't work at, like, UPS.
Mm-hmm.
Or-
They can't get guns or
Yeah.
anything like that. You
So,
would
like,
think
Maybe
maybe you
let...
shouldn't have this bitch keep her butcher knives anymore.
Right. And please, for the love of God, just don't let her in any... I don't know. So,
Ugh.
she actually ended up having another kid
Yep.
in like 80...
March of 1980.
In 80, okay. So then in 84, Knight left Kellett, left her husband, and moved in first with her parents back in Aberdeen, and then got a rental house in another nearby area. And so went back to work in the slaughterhouse, and she ended up going on disability because she got hurt at work, like fucked her back up. And so she was receiving like free government housing as well as disability and like some other, like, I don't know,
basically like probably
workman's comp type shit for
our
hurting her back.
equivalent of workman's comp and like Medicaid and
Right.
any sort of government assistance, right?
So David Kellett is now completely out of the picture. She's got 2 kids, 2 daughters,
Mm-hmm.
and she's now out of work. So she moves on to the next dude.
Yeah.
And this guy, Dave Saunders, she met him in 1986, and a few months later he actually moved in with her and her kids, but he kept a separate apartment that whole time.
Oh.
And it probably as his, like, safe house to get the fuck away from this nutty squirrel turd.
Well, maybe you would think that if you have to have a safe house, maybe you shouldn't be sticking your dick in crazy. Okay?
No, for real.
Let's not.
Don't cohabitate with it. Just bang it and roll.
Yeah.
Raw
Bang
dog,
it and
then
run.
Raw dog, then bail.
Right?
Get out. But no, he kept a separate residence all for himself. So I'm assuming it was like his hideout to get away from her when she was like completely losing her shit.
When she went off the rail.
Right. So 87. So this goes on for like a year. Mm-hmm. 87. She gets upset with Dave because of the time he spends away from her. Mm. So anytime that he's not with her, she gets insanely jealous and gets upset about it. So she kicks him out, tells the guy to kick fucking rocks, and he does, and then begs him to come back.
Oh, goodness.
And then he does. This is okay, so this is like, I actually want to write her letters. I want to see if she can actually, like, return a letter to me. Mm-hmm. Because clearly she's got some skills. Because he came back. He came back. Because then, in a fit of jealous rage, she actually cut the throat of an 8-week-old dingo puppy in front of him.
As like a fuck you, look what I can do.
It was a legit warning. I'm sorry, dude.
Goodness.
If you can cut the face
of a sweet little puppy.
Oh my God. You're unhinged. There's something.
Yeah, and she was basically like, this is what will happen if you cheat on me, blah, 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 blah. And then to make matters worse, just in case murdering a puppy in front of you, I'm going to hit you over the head with a frying pan as good measure.
She bings him on the bean with a fucking frying pan after she slices this puppy up. And he didn't do anything.
No, she should not have cooking supplies at all.
Not while I'm swallowing. That, like, I'm so thankful said. That was water and not, like, Dr. Pepper or something. Something that would have, like, completely destroyed my nasal cavity because it was coming back.
I'm so sorry.
So, baby number 3.
1988 is when she gives birth to a third daughter, which is then when Sanders is like, all right, we'll put a deposit on a house. We'll kind of, I guess, try to make this official, even though, you're a puppy murderer. No big deal.
I can't.
And then Knight pays off the house when she gets the rest of her workman's comp in, like, 1989.
Right. So I would assume that, like, some kind of claim or lawsuit that had been filed over her, her work-related injury. So she pays off this house. And the house was decorated essentially like what you would see in, like, some Silence of the Lambs type shit. There's, like, taxidermied animals, skins, like...
It reminds me of on the Ace Ventura, is it the first one? No, it's the second one, when he's like, what a lovely house of death.
Yes! No, for real, because she, in the documentary that I watched, she had, like, weird taxidermy things, too. It wasn't, like, trophies. It wasn't shit that she had hunted and collected on her own. It was, like, a macabre little museum of dead shit.
Yeah, and then she put everything so that there wasn't ever a blank spot. So there was, like, pitchforks
and rusty traps and barbed wire and just, like, weird shit.
Boots and leather jackets and
I'm sorry.
Rakes. Why?
Who the fuck takes a pitchfork and puts a rusty pitchfork in their house? Catherine Knight does.
Yeah. If I ever go to anybody's house and they have, like, a rusty pitchfork fucking hanging on their ceiling, or like not on their ceiling, but on their wall. Like a stuffed squirrel
riding a taxidermied rattlesnake.
I'm going to be like, so I need to leave. Right.
So I have enough friends, and I'm not accepting applications for any more.
By chance, do you also have butcher knives hanging above your bed?
Oh my God.
Because I need to leave now.
So... This like no space in this place is uncovered. And it's creepy as fuck. Like, you actually see the house in the documentary. I encourage you guys to go and watch that one. So, after an argument in this house of death that she gets into with Dave, now remember, he still keeps his separate residence, and that's where he should have fucking been when this all went down.
Yep.
She,
hits him over the head with a frying pan and stabs him in the gut.
Oh, with an iron.
Oh, yeah, with an iron.
She, like, cracks him over the head with an iron and then stabs him in the stomach with a pair of scissors. And...
So, he leaves.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Right. He moves out. He bails. Moves back to another area, but then, like, she tears up all of his stuff, cuts up all his shit. He comes back to find all of his stuff is completely destroyed. There's nothing left. And he went back just to see his daughter. Mm-hmm. And I guess to get his shit. And so she went to the police after he's been stabbed, hit over the bean twice. Mm-hmm. She went to the police and actually said that it was a domestic violence situation. She was afraid of him. And she successfully got
oh goodness.
Like a restraining order put into place. So he couldn't even see his daughter at that time.
Well, luckily, I guess, for him, after that, like, he's gone.
Right, he's straight.
And there's nothing. Like, she wasn't ever able to find him again. No. Which, you know what?
Good for him.
Good for you, dude. I'm sorry that it took you getting cracked over the head a few times and stabbed in the fucking guts with scissors. But I'm glad you finally got out.
But he apparently unplugged, like, off the grid. Yeah. Like, he bailed. And because
you would have to get away from this bitch.
Right, because it actually says in that documentary that she did look for him and couldn't be found. Mm-hmm. So she actually started fooling around in like 1990. She starts fooling around with this dude named John Chillingworth. Mm-hmm. You know what? I kind of want to get another pet so that I can name it like Peter Chillingworth.
I know, it's a wonderful name.
Like another snake or something.
Chillingworth.
So she starts fooling around with this dude, and she ends up pregnant again. And
this time she has a boy,
She had a boy, named him Eric, and I think their relationship lasted like 3 years. And she eventually left him because she was cheating on him with a bunch of other dudes. Mm-hmm. So
she ended up having an affair.
Yeah.
Stepping in her mommy's footsteps.
Yeah. And actually, like, it was said by some of the locals that she felt so insecure and like her looks were starting to like fade, and she was a very attractive girl. So stupid but pretty. Mm-hmm. But her looks started fading. She started getting insecure. So she decided she was going to start the cheating first. Yeah. Which
she ends up, who she had the affair with was John Prince. Which is important.
She starts cheating. And the guy that she starts fucking around with is John Prince.
Poor dude.
Poor bastard.
Yeah, he was the father of 3 children when Knight had an affair with him. And he was a terrific bloke.
Well, he had like a really awesome reputation.
Yeah, everybody loved him.
In this town. And everybody would talk about, like, what a great guy he was.
Mm-hmm. And his own marriage had ended in 1988, and while his 2-year-old daughter had remained with his ex-wife, the 2 older children lived with him.
Right. And the fucked up thing is, so John Price knew about Catherine Knight's shitty reputation. Violent, angry, just McStabby.
Mm-hmm. And I still took her in. Maybe he had what a lot of women have with that whole, I think they're broken, but maybe I can fix them.
Or I think you're right when you talk about, excuse me, that air of danger. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when you see girls going for the bad guys and they like have a bad reputation. Maybe they've been in and out of jail and they still want to see. It's like fire walking, you know?
Maybe, but unfortunately for him, it will not end very well.
No.
But she moves in with him in like 1995, and his kids actually liked her.
Where the fuck are her kids?
You know? I don't even know.
Because she's got 4 now.
Right.
So at this point, like, are they older? Have they, like, Eric, the son, isn't very old.
No. Who knows where they are, but... Did they end up no, they did not.
They did not get married.
But their beginning of the relationship was that whole puppy dog love thing.
Oh, yeah, because he would actually refer to it as, like, life's just a bunch of roses. So they've got her living in his house. He actually he worked at a local mine. Mm-hmm. And had, excuse me, had edit. That was a nice burp.
Yeah, I will.
He worked for a local mining company, and he'd been there for quite some time. So he actually made good money.
Yeah, and in 1998, she wanted to marry him, but he said no.
No, yeah.
And that's when, like, in retaliation, she took pictures or video of, like, these old...
It would have been, like, medical kids that they were out of date, they were in the trash bin, and so he took them.
Which isn't a big deal. They were already in the garbage.
Right.
And he thought, these are expired, they're throwing them away, I'll just take them home for my house.
Right.
And so she takes video or whatever and takes that to his work where he's been there for 17 years.
Yeah, and makes it look like he
was stealing from the company.
Pilched from the company. And he actually lost his fucking job.
Yeah, so he gets pissed off at her and kicks her the fuck out.
Why wouldn't you? Why, like, I would be like, get your shit, get your knives, get the fuck out.
Yep. And then she returned to her own home. And so, of course, like everything, news of what she had done and different things like that starts spreading.
Right.
Throughout the town.
Right.
And everybody's like, fuck her, dude.
Stay away.
Stay away.
Like, let this be your lesson. Like, take this spoonful of poison, swallow it, because just know you don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
But
a few months later,
they reunite, and he takes her back.
But he
wouldn't let her move back in.
Yeah.
So they're back together, and she's pushing for the relationship to be, like, more serious. Mm-hmm. And I think he was just looking for a wet place to put his penis.
Maybe.
Because he was like, no, you keep your weird little death museum of a house.
Mm-hmm.
You're not moving back into my place.
But that, of course, would spark a bunch of issues. And then actually it got so bad to the point that his friends, like, basically stopped hanging around him because they're like, take our advice. And
right.
I get that way, too. If I give somebody advice
repeatedly
and they don't take it, but then they continue to be upset about things that they could have changed, if they would, I get pissed. And I'm like, fine, then don't fucking talk to me. Like,
right.
So I get
it. It's just one of those things where you realize that the relationship is now, like, your friendship has become one-sided. Yeah. Like, if you're not going to listen to me, sunblock, Ember. Put on some fucking sunblock.
I need all of it.
But
feeling.
No, but that's kind of that thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he eventually because his friends didn't want to have anything to do with her, which, God. Anyway, they switched pubs. Like, somewhere he had been hanging out and chilling for years.
For his whole life, basically.
So, no one wants to hang around. So now he's, like, cut off. He's got no friends.
Mm-hmm.
He's got psychopath girlfriend that's pushing for this relationship, wants to be back in the house, wants to get married, and he's digging his heels in, and he's like, yeah, no.
Mm-hmm.
So, before his friends decide to, like, cut ties and everything, they attempted to persuade Price to cut Knight out of his life for good and, like, move away.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, no, my house is here, my kids are here. So, now no friends.
Mm-hmm. And it's sad because it got to the point where he would even be like, if I don't show up one day, it's because she killed me.
Oh, shit, yeah. He actually told, like, coworkers.
So he was in fear for his own life.
Oh, and his kids, too, because the two older ones live there as well.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, I can't, if I don't do these things, she'll kill my kids or something.
Right.
And so, I mean, domestic violence and fear definitely is a two-way street.
Right.
You know, like, some people just think that just because you're a dude that you can't be put in these kind of positions.
No, there's absolutely.
I would be terrified of this woman because
I would pack get my kids and get on a plane and, like,
middle of the
leave
night.
the country type shit. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's basically, hell, maybe that's what
Saunders did.
Yeah.
Was just like, fuck this.
Deuces.
I'm moving to America. I'm out.
So February of 2000,
there's, like, a series of assaults.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's, like, nonstop her attacking him.
Mm-hmm. Stabbing in the chest. And he would try to get the police to remove her from his house, but he would need a court order to do that. He ends up getting that court order.
Right. Who the fuck needs a court order to remove a violent person out of their house? What the hell?
Right. Especially when
what
she
the hell,
wasn't
Australia?
A permanent resident.
Oh my hell. Right. Like, she didn't get her mail there. It's not the address or the residence she had on, like, her ID.
So he finally gets that to try to protect him and his kids. Unfortunately,
right,
for him, that's not going to be enough. But like I had said earlier, he had told everybody, if I go missing,
She did it.
She did it. And he actually, I think he even said that day, too.
Like, the day that she ends up killing this poor dude, he warned everybody, so that if I don't show up to work, if you don't see me, she did it. She killed me. So, guess what? Some shit goes down. The next morning, the neighbors see that his van is still parked up front. A coworker comes to check on him because clearly there's something going down. So the neighbor and the coworker are like, okay,
something's up.
We gotta go find him. And I think they went and looked in the house and couldn't see anything. So they went to the back door. Then what they would see was like some blood on the door or something to that effect. So they called the police. Right.
But, she... Oh, hold on. I can't brain for a second. The night that he was actually killed, she had sent his kids
to
a friend's house. He was out at the pub. He came home around 11 and went to bed. And she had bought some, like,
sexy negligee.
All sorts of stuff.
And woke him up for sex.
Yep,
so
and they had sex.
They did.
But she first came home. She had to get her meal in. She needed to eat, unwind, watch some TV. Then she wakes him up for a quick, like, bang, bang, bang.
Right.
And then after that, he falls back asleep, thinking things are semi-okay.
Yeah. And they were not.
Know.
Why is he still fucking this psycho?
You have a restraining order against him.
Right.
What are you doing?
You had to go to the magistrate to get paper to get her out of your house. So, but then why are you still sleeping with her?
Yeah.
Like, go get some nice lotion, do a quick tug, and be safe. But, yeah. I mean, that's not an option now, friend.
Maybe she put, like, crack in her pussy and created an addiction. I don't know why somebody would keep going back.
The heroin him. I don't know.
The Satan's junk drawer.
Shit. Oh my god. So the next day, something's clearly off. His vehicle's there. The neighbors see it. He doesn't show up for work. So the boss sends a coworker. They team up like some little Nancy Drew duo and go over to the house and they look in. They can't see anything, but they notice blood on the door. So they call the cops.
Right. And I actually watched one of the interviews where the cops are actually talking about when they go in, because they were like,
well, it was really dark. So they kick the back door in and they go in and they find his body, but it's missing some things. Yeah. And it's like, you can tell some gangster ass shit went on in that house. And the cops will actually talk about like how still to this day.
And they talk about how it kind of fucked them up a little bit because when they first walked in, it actually smelled good in the house.
Yes.
It smelled like home cooking.
That would, like, sweet, succulent.
Yeah, it smelled like, when you go to somebody's house and they've made you a big, glorious meal.
Oh, man. It's kind of like the Thanksgiving boner.
Yeah.
Where, like, certain smells, and especially Thanksgiving, will make me a little bit aroused.
So they walk in and they see that. They see a table set, but there's also fucking skin suit hanging off of, like, a hook, like a butcher hook.
She had him hung and, like, skinned him. And his skin was, like, up in the doorway because one of the cops in that interview talked about moving it because he thought it was a curtain. And then he realized it was wet to the touch and, like, on his arm. And so when they start, like, opening this place up and, like, kicking some windows open, they realized it was his skin that he just
and there was blood
everywhere.
And they go into the kitchen and they see a pot and they open up the pot
and there's his head. So his body was decapitated and she actually cut chunks off of his body and then baked and created like a full table setting with cards for his kids, like cooked him, made gravy with veggies, put it on the table with little placeholders.
So we're gonna kind of step back just a tiny bit because they had sex. He falls asleep. He wakes up to her stabbing him.
Yeah.
And he tries to get up and he's stumbling down the hallway. He's bleeding everywhere. There's blood on the walls. She keeps stabbing him in the back. He actually made it to the front door which he wouldn't have lived anyways.
No.
But he made it to the front door, opened it, and then either she dragged him back or he, like, fell back in.
Right.
And then that's where he died, and that's where a lot of the blood is, because that's where she then hacks off his head and skins him whole.
Oh, my God.
Like,
I think they said something like 37, no less than 37 stabs.
Which,
God damn.
You know that bitch is crazy, and I feel so bad for his last moments as he's desperately trying to save himself. And crazy bitch with butcher knives is just right behind him.
I'm just glad that his kids didn't go home.
Right.
Because when the cops found her, well, so they find this gruesome murder, and they're looking around. They can actually hear, like, soft snores. Mm-hmm. So they go and they find her, and she's comatose. She's fucking out, dude. So they think that she probably attempted to kill herself and, like, ate a bunch of pills.
Mm-hmm. Too bad she didn't succeed.
Right?
Fucking terrible human.
God.
Well, and I think I was reading about it when I was looking it up a little bit, and she had actually set the rest of him up, like, sitting in a chair with, like, his arm draped over.
And, like, a Coke or some shit?
Yeah, his, like, arm was draped over, and in his hands he was, like, holding some sort of soda, and his, like, legs were crossed.
Yeah, like, she set him up like his corpse was just chilling. No skin, no head.
So you have this skinned person sitting down, like they're just watching TV, drinking a soda while his head's in the fucking pot, and his skin's hanging up like laundry.
Line dry only. God.
Air dry it.
But yeah, because could you imagine? Could you imagine walking into that room and seeing his skinned corpse just chilling in a chair? Mm. And I think that's like, so she's boiled his head, she's cut several chunks of meat, like, off of his thighs and his butt, and cooked it. And that's when the cops were like, man, that smells good. And then they realized what it was, and they were like, nightmare fuel. Fuck
I bet anytime after that, they're like, we can never have, like, roast again. That
smell,
I can't.
You know what, dude? Unless it was like a salad or something, I would be willing to bet you that every time I smelled any kind of cooking meat, it would come back and it would turn me, like, I'm surprised that they didn't develop eating disorders.
Yeah. Well, and they had actually found a third plate that was thrown out back, and they thought maybe she tried to eat it, but then decided not to, so she threw it to the dogs. So, but even the dog was like, I'm not eating my fucking best friend. You piece of shit. Fuck you, woman.
Oh, my God. I'm just, like I said, I'm glad it wasn't his kids. Like, come home, find dad's corpse in a chair, and his body has been stewed and cooked and prepared with your name on it.
Yeah, but she wanted them to come back. Like, the pot was still warm when the cops showed up, so they assumed it happened in the early morning. Yeah. Then there was that note that she had wrote.
Oh, yeah. She, like, accused him of...
She accused the kids, right?
Well, him, too.
Yeah.
So he actually accused him and his kids of, like, inappropriately touching one of her kids. Mm-hmm. And that, it was never, like, founded.
Yeah, it was all, like, bullshit, basically. Yeah. But I think that was just, like, her being insane.
Because the note was like, time got you back, Jonathan, for raping my daughter. You to Beck for Ross. Like, she clearly is not the brightest bulb in that chandelier, because the way she spells things in this
note. Yeah,
daughter, Douter. Mm-hmm. What the fuck? So anyway, I think maybe that was like, she was trying to set it up like she had a reason. Yeah, other than she's just fucking nuts.
But this was like way over.
Yeah, you don't
overkill.
You don't decapitate somebody and then cook them for your kids.
And then for the dress them out.
Ugh, dude, for real.
Like, the fact that you could skin a whole person, like, a whole person perfectly takes time.
Well, and
mad skill. And she had years of training in that. But
she was master butcher. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it probably didn't take her that long, but I don't even want to try and wrap my brain around the sound of skin being peeled off meat.
Velcro.
Oh, God. So the police take her in, right? Mm-hmm. And they start cleaning up this shit show of a murder scene.
The crime.
Oh, man. And that's when they kind of got a feel for her, because they went to her house and found her little
shop of horrors. Little,
like
house of weirdness.
Yeah. And they were like, okay, like, maybe some of this is starting to makes sense.
All it should have taken is, like, a quick look into her record.
Shit! Right?
And you should be like, oh.
Let's see. Mental institution 3 times. She tried to kill her own kid.
Slashing a woman's face.
Took a little kid hostage. Oh, here she was gonna, like, kill this poor nurse in this mental institution.
There was also the one husband that she beat. He filed charges and then later got rid of them.
Oh my god.
Like, there is just a list.
The Hansel and Gretel breadcrumb trail of her, like, mental illness is so obvious and, like, look at it.
Oh, look at it.
Oh my god.
Ugh.
So she originally pleads not guilty, because she'll go on and tell the cops that she doesn't remember anything from that night.
Well, maybe it was all those pills you took, you crazy bitch.
So she told him that she went home, told the cops, and that they had sex, and that was true because they found his semen on her little nightie, and she claims that she had no recollection of anything in that night. None. So she originally enters a plea of not guilty after she refused, like, a manslaughter plea deal. So when the trial commences, there were 60 jury prospects, and he gave them the option of being excused because of the nature and, like, severity of the case and the things that they were going to be hearing.
And all the photo evidence.
Right. And the, like, testimonies from what the cops saw, and the poor guy that moved the meat suit with his arm. But
scoot this meat suit on over.
Oh my god. So 5 people actually accepted that. So then when the witness list was read out to the prospects, several more decided to drop out because they were like, okay, we're in this small town. Like, that we don't want to do this. And like, eventually what happened was the judge had to, like, enlist the jury. Like, you don't have a choice. You're going to be on the jury, because everybody kept, like, bowing out.
And in the one documentary that we keep talking about, just so if anybody is interested in it, you can find it on YouTube. There's actually quite a few different ones. The one that I was watching, where it actually shows some of the crime scene photos and some of the officers talking about it, that was the Cannibal Killer Catherine Knight Dad's Head for Dinner. Ugh. That's the one that I watched.
Yeah, that's the one that I watched too, because you sent it to me and I was like, badass.
All the documentaries.
So they've now got their jury. And after the lawyers talked to the judge, court was adjourned. And then for no reason whatsoever, she comes back the next day and says, I want to plead guilty. So the judge is like, okay, that makes 0 sense. You just didn't want to take a plea deal for manslaughter after, oh man, shit. So,
okay.
People soup. She made people soup out of his head.
She made a glorious
manslaughter. That was it? Yeah. Not murder?
Not, you fucking carved his skin off and then propped him up, drinking some soda.
Some Weekend at Bernie shit with his skinless corpse. Fuck. So the judge then dismisses that and says, no, I want you to go in for, like, a psych eval, because clearly clearly there's something wrong with you. So I want to make sure that you're, like, competent. And they found her to be sane. They said, yeah, she's got some psychological issues, but she's not insane. Which
is not what the defense wanted to hear.
No, not at all. Because they were totally going for the, like, not guilty, but for a reason of, oh my god, say it.
Reason of insanity.
By reason of insanity?
Yeah. Which, I mean, granted, she obviously had issues, but she knew right from wrong, and she knew what she was doing.
Dude, you don't take their corpse and pose it and shit. Like, that was time, effort. Like, that was some methodical shit.
Yeah, some real fucking terrible things that she was doing.
So the defense wanted to be like, oh, she's got amnesia or some shit.
Amnesia from taking pills or whatever, and, like, borderline personality. So
Knight still, like, throughout this, is not wanting to take responsibility for her actions. And she, at the sentencing, the lawyers kept requesting that Catherine be excused from hearing some of the facts. And then she, like, put on this big show when it talks about him being skinned and decapitated.
Yeah.
Like, she had a full come apart in the prisoner box or whatever.
Which is, I believe, this is just me talking, I believe that obviously she had some sort of issues, but the extreme that she did wasn't necessary. And this whole point of, like, not remembering things or wanting to be excused reminds me, did you ever watch Split yet?
No, not yet.
You need to watch it. It's so
Okay.
good. But
Get on
anybody else that has watched it, they'll understand.
Okay.
Because he suffers from DID, and he has 23 different personalities living within him. And it kind of goes into that, and M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong is super great. I love all of his movies.
I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, you will enjoy
Is it on?
It's out.
Is it on the Flicks of Net?
I don't think so.
Oh, I'll put it up on something else.
But I think you can like Redbox that.
Oh, okay. So she has to be excused several times, and like when she's hearing about all the shit that went down, which maybe she didn't remember doing some of it, like after she ate all those pills and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, man.
I think it was more of an act.
I think so too.
And some other people, like in the different documentaries and stuff, think that was also like she kind of plotted it. They kind of played it that way,
right? To
kind of feed into
the insanity thing.
Yeah, this insanity plea that they were desperately trying to hold on to.
So, but then two psychiatrists come back and they're like, nope, it's sane.
She's good.
So then she receives her sentence. And she is the first woman ever in Australia to get life in prison without parole.
Mm-hmm.
Is she? Yeah, the first one.
Yep. And it was marked on her papers to never be released.
Finger quotes. Never to be released.
Which, finally. That's all I have to say.
God. Oh, so, but, she only had to stab somebody 37 times, take their skin off, and
cook up their head.
Oh my God.
Decapitate them in the living room. Set up his little...
Could you imagine? Carpet stain?
It's fucking bananas.
Dude, fucking bananas. You're going to have to burn that goddamn house down. Yeah. I wouldn't live in that shit. Mm-mm. No way. After knowing that, here in this doorway, there was once upon a time
a full skin suit.
Yeah, a man's fur.
Which I'm sure Ed Gein was very happy.
Oh my God. They were like, oh.
He was rolling in his grave in sheer delight.
I know, right?
Of her skin suit capabilities, I guess.
So she appealed life in prison.
Yep, in 2006.
Right.
So it really wasn't that long ago. I mean, the murder happened in 2000.
10-ish, 11 years ago?
That would be 17 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I know.
Good Lord.
Depressing.
So
2006 is 11 years ago.
Oh, that's when.
Oh, okay. I was talking about when the murder happened.
The actual murder was 17 years ago because it was in 2000. But so she tries to appeal the life sentence, and the justice Peter McClellan came back with two others. Mm-hmm. They got together, read the case, and they were like, not fucking happening.
No fucking way. You can go fuck yourself, crazy lady.
That entire thing was so goddamn insane that there's no way. We're not letting you out.
Mm-hmm. So you have Catherine Knight, who was a twin, born
out of an affair.
Mom obviously didn't know how to handle her situation. Told all of her kids way too much information.
Oh, all of the time.
And then you have, her being apparently sexually abused until around 11.
Which is weird, because I'm seriously wanting to know if that was that uncle, because it just mysteriously stopped happening at the age of 11.
Mm-hmm.
Would she get her Hogwarts letter and take off for a little while and go to school?
Maybe, or it was one of those she started hitting puberty and then she was getting too old, because there are those.
Yeah.
Gross. So then she drops out of school at 15 after she was a bully, and fucking teacher had to beat her off with a stick as self-defense.
You know what's funny too is in that documentary it said that when she was bad in school she was really, really bad, but when she was good she was a model student and got little awards for being
okay, but she never learned how to read or write, so what was she doing? Making macaroni art? Is that what she got her fucking awards for?
Maybe she was just getting an award for not beating the fuck out of kids on the playground.
Yeah, thanks for not stabbing somebody today. Here's your plaque.
Thanks for holding the door open and not slamming it on us.
Mm-hmm.
Because then she goes on and bullies poor David Kellen into marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And strangles him on the wedding night.
Because he could only fuck her 3 times and she needed at least 10.
Oh my hell.
Bashes him over the face. He ends up eventually leaving.
Getting all his shit burned.
Yep.
No clothes for you.
She ends up leaving.
Better turn those fucking underwear inside out and get an extra day out of them, because you ain't got none left.
Inside out, front bag.
Oh, man.
Just keep flipping it like a pancake.
So he bails.
Yep. Next one comes in. She's fucking violent towards him.
Oh my god, poor Dave.
He finally leaves after he gets stabbed in the tum-tum with some scissors.
I can't with these guys.
And then you have the last one, who, even though he knew all about her craziness, still takes her in.
Well, and I'm just curious with the John Chillingworth.
Mm-hmm.
Because it didn't really talk about him a lot in the documentary, and all of the shit that I looked up to do this case, he was there for 3 years. But did she not, like...
I don't know, but where she kind of ended it, where she had the affair, I think that's why she spared him most of the crazy train, maybe?
Being thumped on like some WWF wrestling shit?
I guess. She also, tried to kill her daughter, comes back, puts her daughter on the train tracks, daughter barely gets saved by a sweet passerby.
Maybe these kids, after they, like, figured out some shit about who their mom was and what she was like, went to live... like with other relatives or something.
Yeah. Slashes a woman's face, beats up nurses, wants to kill her husband.
Cut up puppy.
Yep. Holding knives to little boys. Like, she was just...
And if you guys watch that documentary, all of the photos of her as like a younger lady, like as a younger woman, she really is pretty. And then if you see... Well...
I mean, that could be kind of stretching it a little bit.
Yeah, but that's when she's older, I think. A little bit older. But look at her now, man.
Oh, yeah. Now she looks like something a cat would bury.
Oh, my God. What was it? The trolls off of Fraggle Rock with the giant nose and the scraggly hair? Oh, dude, that's what she looks like.
She just looks like a crime scene.
It's bad.
She's terrible.
She did not age well. And you would have to stop and wonder, like, maybe she looks like that because, like, internally she's, like, poisoned.
Maybe she's just finally rotting. Ugh.
Oh, God.
So this will wrap up our part 1, I guess, of Crazy Bitches.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for our next one that we're going to be covering.
I am too.
You guys are going to have to just wait. I don't even know if I want to tell you. If I want it to be
just let it be a surprise.
I am.
But we always, as always, thank you guys for listening. And go to iTunes. Subscribe, rate, review, all of that fun stuff.
Please review us. The more reviews that we get, the more...
On iTunes.
Yes, on iTunes. The more reviews we get, the more our name gets out there. Excuse me. And different things like that. We can also be found on Facebook.
Color Me Dead Podcast. And we have Color Me Dead Podcast group.
Which is fun because then everybody posts like different things that are happening, different...
And we can kind of play around with our listeners a little bit.
Yeah. Yep, we get to interact a little bit more.
Inappropriate.
Listeners.
I can
we get to play with our listeners. It's great.
The face you just made.
I'm so sorry.
While you're like tapping your fingers together, you got one eye to roll back. Well, Jesus, Igor. Get it together.
It's pronounced Igor.
I think you'd be more comfortable in the rear. But... so Instagram. We do have Color Me Dead Podcast on Instagram, and you can follow us on Twitter at Color Me Dead Pod.
Yes. And we are pretty much, I think we're everywhere now. We're on Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes, any of your podcasts.
Overcast. I mean, pretty much anything that you can listen to podcasts, we are there.
Yep. And so what we're thinking about doing is if you go and we're kind of taking one from our friends here.
I know.
I don't even care.
It's fine. It's borrowing. It's healthy.
Right? I'm utilizing my resources again.
Yes.
That thing. But if you go and if you write a review on iTunes, and if you take a screenshot of it or whatever, post it on either our Color Me Dead regular page or Color Me Dead group.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to definitely give you a special little shout out.
Yes.
And then... also, we're going to enter your name in for a drawing. And we're going to make this, like, little goodie bag. And we're going to draw 5 people at the end of when we decide to end this drawing. We haven't come up on a final date.
We haven't ironed out all of the details on this.
Yeah, we know some of the things that are going to go in the goodie bag. Some of the things we haven't decided. We just know that it's going to be
fucking
awesome. So if you do that, we'll give you a shout out, plus we'll put your name in for the drawing. If you get friends to come in and they subscribe to us too, you're going to get your name put in the drawing a second for each friend.
More chances to win.
Yes, and then we will ship that out, and it should be a lot of fun. I'm
Yes.
excited about it.
Yes.
Let's see, what else did we need to say?
I don't think there was anything else.
Any sort of special shout-outs we need to do? I'm trying to think. I just know that everybody's been super, super awesome. We've had lots of people.
Like, really, really awesome feedback from all of our friends. And like people that I really sincerely didn't think would listen to the podcast have and have really enjoyed it. So thanks everybody just for being so supportive and giving all that great feedback and listening and subscribing.
Yeah, we really, really appreciate that. It's been a lot of fun, and we're working on things to make our sound better each and every time.
Yes.
One day we'll get to the point where we get separate things and we'll be like those cool professional people.
Oh shit. Like Nick and Rob?
Yeah.
Bastards.
Yeah. If when you're out and about liking and subscribing us to iTunes, if you want to jump over to the Brohow podcast and check them out too. They cover all those fun things like urban legends and different things like that. Mm-hmm. You will probably enjoy them if you're into that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I love that kind of stuff.
Dude, I love that podcast. Mm-hmm. So, as always, this is Angel.
And Ember.
And thank you for listening.
Don't listen. Listen, guys. I need to take a moment. Boys, all women have a pussy, okay? Find one that's not crazy. Do not dip your dick in crazy dip. Please, stay out of chalk lines. That's all I have to say.
Don't date women that hang butcher knives from their bed. And keep your head out of crock pots. Stay out of chalk lines. Fuck!
We